Hello, it's been a little while. In fact, it's been almost an entire year since I uploaded my last video. And of course, to any of my loyal subscribers, I apologize for that. And for those of you who are not subscribed, statistics show that only a small But seriously, I did spend a really long time on this video, and it would be a shame if it just went to waste. So if you could consider subscribing, that would mean a lot to me. It's free, and you can just always unsubscribe later if you find me boring. Anyways, I know that you just want to see the video. So, let's get on to what really happened. The first thing that I did was collect all of the materials from the laser drill, which provided me with a single uranium ore. Next, I started the process of gathering upgrades for the combustion generator. These would speed up the generator, thus creating more energy. With more upgrades, the generator needed more materials. To combat this, I created some more upgrades for the energized smelter, which would speed up the production of charcoal. With the new supply of fuel, I made a stack of charcoal blocks along with many more speed modifiers. And after several more minutes of grinding later, I completely maxed out the generator.
What? Yeah, there we go.
Since the smeltery had been running out of fuel lately, I decided to set up a much larger storage for lava. To do this, I placed a fluid storage tank on the smeltery, filled it with lava, and connected it to the fuel tank with a fluid duct. The result was a lot worse than I would have expected. Due to the high temperature of lava, the fluid duct exploded, leaking lava all over the smeltery. My attempt at cleaning up the mess was also very botched.
How do I stop that? Stop. Okay, so don't use one of these. Noted.
I continued to craft more upgrades and continued to get more achievements. I also crafted a paxel and an ender pouch, which I used. Similarly, I crafted an inferium watering can only to immediately replace it with a better prudentium watering can. I then made a single hellish matter, then went to hell to upgrade the mattock and acquire some nether warts. I would use these to brew speed potions, which, along with other materials, would allow me to craft a growth crystal. The growth crystal speeds up plant growth, thus yielding a higher crop output. Initially, it didn't seem to change much. What did change, however, was the collection method of the crops. I crafted the harvester, which is incredibly cheap and efficient at gathering the produce. I placed a simple combustion generator on the harvester along with what I thought was a battery. It was a battery, but the contents of it couldn't be removed with conventional cables. To help me get more guardian items for the growth crystal, I set out on a path to make guardian seeds. The first step in the equation was to craft a solium dagger, which required turning soul sand into dust and smelting that dust into ingots. From here, I slapped various mobs and harvested their chunks, which, with the help of an auto fisher, I would later convert into guardian chunks. I then crafted the seed and spammed it with magical bone meal to generate a ton of seeds. I also discovered that potions can be brewed inside a cauldron, and after harvesting the newly added netherwarts farm, I made about 60 potions of swiftness. The new growth crystals surely represented their power, as they at least tripled the speed that the crops were growing at. Just in case I wanted a higher production speed, I crafted a supremium water can, which is capable of watering up to 49 crops at a time. The next task on the list was a larger smeltery, which I constructed using a lot more seared stone, seared glass, and a more efficient ratio of area to volume. Not efficient enough though, because I accidentally added too many seared bricks to the bottom on the first try. After the fix, I got a huge boost in storage.
Okay, got a little bit of extra space here.
I also crafted a handful of casting basins to increase the draining speed of the smeltery. Returning to the farm, it was very obvious that the growth crystals were working, as shown by the new abundance of inferium essence. I felt like it was a good time to upgrade the mattock, so I filled an auto clicker with a few stacks of dirt, which I got from some dirt seeds, and held down mouse 1 until I got the ding. I also crafted and generated some obsidian seeds for no reason. What was for a reason, however, was the new inferium essence storage system that I implemented. It ensured that all essences would be combined with each other, using auto-crafters, to store them as efficiently as possible. I used the recent surge in magical essence to forge a supremium mattock, which was surely better than the former cobalt mattock. I also applied some reinforcement modifiers to give the tool much more durability, which would be handy during the upgrading process that I had created earlier. By mixing ferroboron and lithium, I formed tough alloy, which I used to make an inscriber calculation press. This allowed me to forge the calculation processor, which allowed me to upgrade the Emmy terminal into an Emmy crafting terminal. With this new device, I could craft items straight from the Emmy system instead of needing to take out the required items first and crafting them in a separate menu. The first thing that I crafted, it was an enchantment table, and it got me an achievement. I then cut down the apple trees, crafted an emerald seed, and returned to a massive volume of apples.
What the frick's going on over here? Dame, Dame yada yo.
This was simply too many items, and I decided to deposit them all into a double chest to preserve the storage in the Emmy system. I spam farmed the emerald seeds to create a heart container, which, after making a very loud sound, gave me an extra heart of HP, and an achievement. I also quickly boosted the capacity of the Emmy system. While I was killing mobs to attune the trial key for a trial keystone, I happened to notice that one of the androids dropped an Omni Tool. I had no idea what this device does or what it did, but it seemed to shoot a laser that would destroy anything in its path.
What the frick? I don't know what that is. Not gonna mess with it.
I used the recently acquired trial key to start a sort of mob survival minigame, which consisted of 4 waves of rather low difficulty zombies. Upon completion, I received a few pristine zombie matter, which was void of any purpose to me. To make the process of punching mobs a little less stupid, I forged the Supremium Broadsword, which, to my surprise, did a lot more damage than the former Cobalt Sword. Somewhat similar to the heart container, the inventory upgrade that I crafted allowed for an extra slot of storage. I also crafted the inventory crafting table, which gave access to a 3x3 crafting menu on the inventory screen. I then crafted nature seeds for the sole purpose of because I wanted to. A more notable item that I crafted was the trash bin, which voided any and all items placed into it. At last, I had found a solution to the long existing dilemma on how I should remove sticks from the game. I hooked up the device to the tree farm and watched as all the waste drained from the chests. Just to get the achievement, I crafted the melter, alloy tank, and seared heater. I then placed them down, and then I broke them. Some more items I crafted just for the achievement include the tool forge, pattern chest, armor station, armor forge, and yo-yo.
Yo-yo mama.
The only one that I ended up using was the yo-yo, which looked to have some very interesting and helpful abilities. After witnessing such destruction, I forged what appeared to be the best possible yo-yo, which was made with night slime. Needless to say, it was awesome. I ran around and slaughtered every mob in sight, being sure not to leave a single soul alive.
This isn't even fair! That, ladies and gents, is how you effectively clear out a mob spawner. I've literally got like a sniper at my finger. Look at this. Gone.
I also crafted a weirding gadget, which ensures chunks stay loaded even if you are not near them. Then I forged a paper axe. Then I crafted a pressurized reaction chamber and an electrolytic separator. I'm not even going to try to explain what these machines do, since it took me 30 minutes just to figure out how to move one substance to the other machine.
Oh, that took way too freaking long, dude.
All you need to know is that they will get me better mulches, which increase bonsai tree production. I converted biofuel into substrate, and I used a sewage composter and an animal sewer to get fertilizer. These materials allowed me to craft amber and ruby mulch. To make the last 3, I crafted the rotary condensator. This machine turns liquids into gas, and vice versa. After a painful amount of time, I finally managed to mix liquid ethylene, oxygen, and substrate to form HDPE pellets. From here, I crafted HDPE rods and sheets. I also smelted some blue slimy mud to produce blue slime crystals. With the power of all these materials combined and some wither dust, I crafted red, black, and blue mulch. The speed of the blue mulch, I'll let you be the judge. I also crafted fertile soil, which, after acquiring the best growth material in the game, was completely useless. I thought that a very good way to get rare materials fast would be to forge a paper broadsword and apply luck 3 to it. It ended up working, with the first wither skeleton that I killed dropping a skull. I continued to upgrade the Supremium sword and collect skulls. I also crafted a blaze data model to help me generate more blazing materials. Then, you won't believe this, but I stuffed a cow into a bottle. This bottle would slowly generate free milk. Nothing special. Since I was getting quite a few levels, I wanted to store them in a container. Luckily, I could utilize the XP drain Singularity tank. Unluckily, it would take a considerably long time for all of my XP to be deposited, so I abandoned the idea. I then went on a crafting rampage. I crafted a block of snad, a sprinkler, diagonal oak fences,
What the frick?
magic beans, ender seeds, a mob swab,
I'm gonna swab your DNA.
a wireless charger,
Oh, it charges my backpack.
and a crafting grinder, and a bag of chicken feed.
Happy birthday, Taco!
What the frick just happened?
I actually only had 2 more saplings to make, which was the Ardite and Cookie sapling. So I went to the nether, mined up some Ardite, chucked it into the smeltery, and poured it onto a magma slime sapling. I crafted the Cookie sapling while I was waiting, which was beyond easy, and finally, I had collected every special sapling in the game. Since the generator was going to produce a lot of power, and since I wanted the achievement, I crafted the max tier power cell, which I never figured out how to use. I also finally got the Enderman data model to the basic tier. I went on another crafting rampage, this time in the storage department. First, I crafted the 64, 256, 1K, 4K, Ore Dictionary, Void Overflow, and Uninstall upgrades. Then, I crafted the wooden crate, wooden barrel, metal drum, metal crate, and shipping container. I did actually use the wooden crate as an overflow storage for the log supply. After all of this crafting, I noticed that the zombie data model had reached the self-aware tier, so after attuning another trial key and upgrading the yo-yo, I started another one of those mini-games. This time, I would get corrupted glitch hearts, which I would soon later use to give myself permanent flight. The trial also happened to spawn a glitch, which gave me an additional heart. I ended up getting a total of 5 hearts upon completing the trial, which, after doing some conversions, would provide me with 15 glitch-infused ingots. After another trial, I got enough ingots to make a full set of glitch-infused armor. This was also the checkpoint for all the Age of Enchantment achievements being completed. With the new boost of armor and weapons, I went back to the Twilight dimension to take on the Lich. This fight was incredibly easy thanks to the yo-yo, which delivered a lot of damage very quickly. I then made a treadmill. A lot of these items seem to be very useless, don't they? Speaking of useless, I turned some enriched alloys into reinforced alloys into atomic alloys, which gave me the materials to craft an ultimate tier installer. I had not a single clue about what it did, but I got the achievement. What was much more useful was crafting and eating 9 more heart containers, giving me a total of 20 HP.
There's a 20. Oh my god.
I was gonna eat more, but unfortunately I had reached the limit. Cacti break! Another much more useful item that I crafted was the building gadget, which allowed me to build large portions of the item extremely fast, contrary to the former method of placing individual blocks. Similarly, the exchange gadget allowed me to replace large chunks of blocks in a given area. In order to make sure that the latex processing unit was receiving an adequate supply of water, I crafted an infinite water generator. Since I was generating a little more extra water, I crafted the froster, which transformed that water into frozen things like ice and snowballs. The final achievement that I needed to complete on the Age of Farming page was the one that included acquiring every single mob seed. So I did that, which took about 20 minutes of time and 20% of my sanity.
And that's another page complete and a chest full of random junk.
Next, I traveled to the Twilight Forest to try and mark off some more achievements. The first thing that I found was some sort of mystical sheep that had no purpose but to exist. I quickly violated that purpose by slaughtering the being. I later ran into a mob that blasted me in the face with freaking fire. After being set ablaze, I accidentally ignited some TNT after opening a trapped chest, blowing a small area to smithereens. I also found some fireflies, and I also killed the Lich for a second time. Then this happened.
Editing Solosice, go back to the part where I killed the Lich. What the frick?
Next, I upgraded the Twilight Forest data model by killing these walking bookshelves, and after running it through the simulation chamber, acquired Twilight Matter. Alike crafting those miniature smelting items earlier, I crafted a melter, alloy furnace, and ingot former. One perk about the recently obtained glitch-infused armor that I hadn't realized was that it gives mobs a small chance to drop their pristine matter when killed. I discovered this upon killing a wither skeleton, which dropped 2 pristine wither skeleton matter.
Wait, why did... Oh my god, I'm actually confused. I don't even care. I just got an achievement done easy.
This particular matter was very helpful since it produced 6 wither skeleton skulls when processed by the loot fabricator. Oh, and this happened again.
What the frick? Holy crap, that... Okay, let's not mess with those, okay?
I had also tried to get a basic tier gas model for the final achievement, which involved obtaining a gas pristine matter. This resulted in me blowing a hole in the animal farm, but in the end, I had achieved what I wanted.
Yes! That is pristine Ghast Matter, and I also got this entire page done. We now have 4 pages done.
Since I may need more storage in the future, I crafted and spam farmed some Fluix seeds. This is around the time I recognized that the farm storage was overflowing. To fix this, I tried to create a long chain of item ducts between the farm chest and the Emmy system. Along with being horribly inefficient, the system didn't work at all. Until...
Wait. The Emmy interface, the one thing that I thought I never needed. Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
I found a solution. Turns out the Emmy interface, which I had previously deemed an incredibly useless item,
Which I could turn into an Emmy interface, which apparently does absolutely nothing.
came to the rescue by acting as the final bridge between the Emmy system and the farm chest. Remember when I mentioned needing more storage? Well, I constructed a sort of assembly line that, provided it had all of the necessary materials and upgrades, would produce Emmy storage components very fast. I started with a couple inscribers, one for forging printed logic circuits and another for forging printed silicons. With another inscriber, dedicated to fusing redstone and the two other materials together, I could forge a logic processor, which is the base of the Emmy drive. I added an auto crafter to the configuration, which would add fluix and redstone into the mixture, creating a 1K Emmy storage component. Now, all that I needed to do was create 2,186 more. Since I didn't want to actively farm and stock gold into the system, I organized another assembly line that used a bonsai pot, a packager, and an ultimate furnace. But wait, ultimate furnace? What's that? Allow me to show you.
Ooh! Yo, what the frick? That was instant. Oh my, that is not even close to fair.
Additionally, I set up another extension that converts crushed quartz into silicon by sending it through a crusher and into another ultimate furnace. I think I'll name this project Million Bytes. After a little under half an hour, Million Bytes had made around 201,000 Emmy storage components. I added on another auto crafter, this one mixing in some more redstone, quartz glass, and a calculation processor. This required me to construct another extension, one that converts quartz seeds into pure quartz and a printed silicon circuits in the calculation processors. Since Million Bytes had produced a bunch of 4K storage components, I was forced to add on another auto crafter that mixed in all of the same materials as before, but with redstone replaced with glowstone. While I was waiting for Million Bytes to produce more storage components, I crafted another star seed. This seemed like a good idea, until I learned that it simply will not grow with magical bone meal. Actually, it wouldn't grow at all, no matter what I did. What did grow, however, were the other crops. Along with fueling Million Bytes, I crafted a ton more growth crystals, which, after a long while of brewing, crafting, and placing, covered much more of the farm island. During this process, Million Bytes had a chance to produce approximately half of the components I needed for the final drive. This prompted me to add more auto crafters, which began using engineering processors. I also crafted an energy cell, which was so irrelevant that I pointed it out immediately.
I feel like I did that a little bit too late.
A slightly more relevant invention was the max-size backpack, which I didn't use. Since the smeltery was quickly filling up with materials like redstone, I formed a system of auto-clickers that would automatically fill up and harvest the basins. Additionally, the received block was transported to a chest, meaning the system could run indefinitely. Returning to useless items, I crafted the controller and the storage network master from the simple storage network. I had literally zero idea what these did, and I didn't even get an achievement from them. All I know is that when I shift-click a 1 million byte storage component, the whole game crashed. After rebooting the game, I shift-clicked half a stack of potatoes, which crashed the game yet again. After rebooting the game for a second time, I had enough of breaking the game, so I mined up both of the items, and suddenly I gained the achievement for them. I was beyond fed up at this point, so I crafted the last two items, the storage request table and the storage remote, and I never touched the mod again. The only good thing that came out of this was that I had completed all of the Age of Storage achievements, so that's a win, I guess. On a completely different note, did you know that you can place water in the nether? You can even place a boat, gaining an achievement.
There we go. Whee! My boat! No!
To make up for that loss, I finally crafted, after a few hiccups, the 16 billion byte storage component and its drive equivalent.
Oh my god! That is so much freaking storage, bro.
This gave me the first achievement in the age of all the things OMG LOL, which basically served as the no-life certification for all tryhards. Since I was getting a larger input of crops, I needed to upgrade the Emmy importation method. This was actually very easy. I simply placed a few more Emmy interfaces and item ducts, and the smooth flow was back to normal. Completely on a different topic, I forged an airship. This was a small aircraft that you could fly around in. Additionally, with a handful of upgrades, the airship could become much more maneuverable. Speaking of air, I crafted a block that can be placed in the air. A little less boring was the end cake, which I seemed to craft slightly late into the game. At this point, I had already accumulated fairly tough gear, so killing the Ender Dragon was going to be a breeze. That is until I found out that there was no Ender Dragon. That's right, the game devs decided that the player was simply too good for a newbie Ender Dragon, so they decided to remove it. The trip to the end wasn't completely useless, however. I managed to find an elytra, which in reality only gave me an achievement. I also mined up this ender substance that can be smelted into pearls. I guess this far into the game, I should have remembered that the island was only a slab thick. Yet, I clicked on the dragon egg and never saw it again. After crafting some dragon breath, I returned to the end to take on the wither, which, fortunately, actually spawned. Killing it was quite easy. I just flew straight up and continued to punch it with the yo-yo. The Lost Cities cake was next on the vacation list, and upon arrival, I noticed that everything appeared to be in glass balls. This is actually how the whole dimension was oriented, and I never actually discovered a purpose for this peculiar place.
What the frick?
When I got back, I wanted to travel to a place that was much smaller, literally. After constructing a whole new section of the island dedicated to miniaturizing things, and after a few minor steps of setup, I created my first compact machine. These were places that the player could travel and set up a small system of automation. Me being me, I just wanted to get the achievement, so I popped in and popped right back out. Turns out, I only needed to do one more thing before completing the achievement page, which was travel to the hunting dimension. I think this was supposed to be a completely empty dimension, but honestly I didn't care, because I had completed all of the basic achievements.
Alright, look at this. We got Age of Exploration, Age of Storage, Age of Power, Age of Farming, Age of Enchantment, and SkyFactory 4, all of them complete. The only two we need to get are these.
Oh! My next large leap was to complete all of the Twilight Forest achievements. My first accomplishment was creating Naga armor. Nothing too intense. Next, I found and killed this abomination of a mob. All was going well until I discovered an achievement that would require a questing ram, which was the mob that I had previously slaughtered. So, after crafting and farming dye seeds, harvesting the wool of the sheep, and creating and mixing every dye in the game, I had the required materials to get this achievement. I did eventually find a questing ram, but it took me way longer than if I wouldn't have killed the previous one. So I fed it all of the wool, and in return, I received a few blocks of various basic materials, along with a trophy. Soon after, I found this icy land with yetis that would yeet me into the air. I also found a wolf.
Oh my god!
Shortly after discovering the center of the island, a giant yeti spawned. With my prior preparations, this being was no match for the big man, as I destroyed it with ease. I will admit though, it was very difficult to grab the drops with the giant swarm of yetis. With the new batch of achievements done, I started making my way back to the mainland. I killed a spider along the way, which gave me an achievement for some reason. My next goal was to create a sort of ultimate s'more, and the process of that was considerably boring. All that really happened is that I did some crafting, melting, transferring, and forming to get the materials for this s'more. First, I crafted a s'more, then a double s'more, then a quadruple s'more. I also happened to craft and fill a cookie jar with cookies.
Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar?
I ate the quadruple s'more, and it supposedly filled 24 hunger bars and 231 saturation bars. Along with this, I also got speed, haste, and absorption for a minute. Now, I soon discovered that this whole hunger and saturation situation was a blatant lie. After pricking myself on a cactus and losing a few hearts, I immediately started losing hunger bars. Similar to the s'more task, the next task involved creating an ultimate sandwich. This one turned out to be a little more interesting, with my first step in the process including the creation of completely new seeds. After growing all these seeds, I was ready to craft the sandwich, and I did.
What did I do wrong? Why didn't it count as an achievement? Oh, that was reverse order. Oh my lord, what the frick?
After some slight changes to the order of the materials, I crafted the correct sandwich, gaining me another achievement. Next, I discovered a new form of storage, the filing cabinet. These can hold folders that contain an infinite amount of any item imaginable. Since one of the achievements was to fill one of these folders with over 1 million of any item, I chose to fill it with cobblestone. Why? Well, remember the cobblestone generator? Those are capable of producing up to 20 cobblestone per second, and they stack. That means that with a stack of these generators, a filing cabinet could be filled to 1 million in less than 15 minutes. Of course, I didn't have a stack of cobble gens, but it wouldn't hurt to start somewhere. At first, I connected one cobble gen, but soon later, I crafted and added a few more. After around half an hour, I noticed that the filing cabinet was filling up pretty quickly. While I was waiting, I started to experiment with resource hogs, and one particular type of resource hog. Platinum. I crafted a bucket of mud, fed it to the pig, bred it a few times, gave it an environment to grow truffles, and never touched it again. What I did touch again was the compact machine maker. I reorganized the placements of the projectors to allow me to create much larger machines. I intended to form a max-size compact machine, but on the first try, I forgot to place the emerald block in the middle of the structure. This may not seem like a big deal, but it drastically decreased the size of the room. My next attempt was successful, and I soon acknowledged the enormity of this machine.
Whoa! Bro, this place is massive.
I was gonna try to build a machine that automatically crafts cobble gens, but the setup was simply too complicated and overall not worth it. What was worth it was the blaze seed that I crafted, which would make it much easier to upgrade the cobble gens. I also crafted 2 buckets capable of holding 64 buckets of anything. Oh, and the folder seemed to finally be full with 1,000,000 cobblestone. Though for some reason the game wasn't giving me the achievement. In fact, over my whole time playing the game, I never once got the achievement. I did, however, continue to work toward more cobble gens. I filled both of the Insanium buckets with lava and water, which worked perfectly when I created a stack of cobble gens. The materials needed to upgrade the generators were iron, diamonds, blaze rods, and emeralds. I crafted the last seed needed for that, the diamond seed, and spam farmed harder than ever before. I also crafted the Signalum seed, which would provide me with the materials to make Signalum servos. I also crafted Impulse item ducts, which were leagues faster than the regular item ducts. After crafting and laying all of the new cobble gens, I placed the item ducts and the servos along their sides. To test its efficiency, I placed down a single chest, and it filled up instantly. What? Holy crap. I decided it was time to upgrade the terminal for the Emmy system, and I intended to make it wireless. Initially, I didn't have the slightest clue as to what I was doing. However, after crafting several irrelevant items, I got the smooth connection I wanted. I also slightly extended it using boosters. In fact, I added too many, and ended up using all the power on the island in mere seconds. I was able to use a tunnel and an inserter to send the cobblestone out of the compact machine and into the file cabinet. I also used an ender chest to ensure that absolutely all of the cobblestone was making it to the cabinet. While I was adding in more cobble gens, I noticed that the cobblestone would be deposited into any pipe that was connected on the top. Thus, I reorganized the whole system to make it much more efficient. I also added more ender chests. On another note, did you know that there is a machine that automatically brews potions? I connected it to a wooden crate and gave it a bunch of materials for swiftness potions, helping me to produce more growth crystals. On another note, I created an additional compact machine that would be used for a fission reactor. These are pretty straightforward. It just takes a fission controller, a fission reactor port, tons of fission reactor casing, some reactor cells, some coolers, and a cube shape. Since I would be needing a lot of tough alloy, I organized a small system that, with the necessary resources, would easily produce tough alloy. Returning to the reactor, I collected some thorium ore from the laser drill and used it to craft a thorium seed. After getting a good supply of thorium, I crafted and used the isotope separator to obtain some basic fuel elements. I used them to craft 1 TBU fuel, which I used immediately to produce the life-changing 4,800 RF per second. My next task, to create a mob spawner, included me crafting and upgrading the spider, ghast, skeleton, and creeper data models. Getting the pristine matter for these mobs went not well, and on the first attempt at gaining the spawner, I crafted it, placed it down, and permanently broke it with the pickaxe. You're kidding me, bro? My next attempt was just as bad. Bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. How can I get out? But this time, I made sure not to immediately destroy the spawner. The achievement required maxing out the spawner with sugar and clocks, which I got an early start on. A lot more interesting than the spawner was the Hydra that I hunted down. This fight, while scary, was surprisingly easy, with me not getting hit a single time. So easy, in fact, that I defeated another Hydra just for kicks. The loot was nothing special, except for the trophy. I somehow discovered, on my own, that placing the Hydra trophy at the entrance of one of those mazes opens that entrance. Adventuring the maze was very uneventful, with the only notable things happening were this, who the frick, and the final boss.
Okay. I somehow just got an achievement for that. Okay.
The loot I got this time seems slightly better, but still par. Next, I traveled to the big gas base, which helped give me an achievement for collecting a slice of pie. Oh! It also spawned a giant in front of me. Whoa! This ghast, the Ghast, was much more difficult to kill. When I did end up killing it with the overpowered yo-yo, I only received one of the 2 achievements. Apparently, I wasn't supposed to kill the Ghast with a yo-yo, and I had to find another one to kill properly. This loot appeared to be a bit better, but it was utterly useless. From here, I just continued looking for more achievement opportunities, and the next one was killing the Snow Queen. This was a breeze.
Yes. Yes! That should be all the bosses, let's go.
Soon after, I discovered a massive island with everything scaled up. I even found 2 of my giant self, yielding a giant sword and pickaxe. I also killed my giant self and took his sword. For whatever reason, I still couldn't access the highlands, but I had a feeling that the giant obsidian container beneath the island would change that. I tried to mine it, but made absolutely no progress. So I decided to mine the much smaller obsidian container, which only gave me some magical beans. Then I had a moment of realization.
Wait. We can use the giant pickaxe to mine it. This is crazy, dude.
I broke into the container and found a lamp that took away the barrier around the highlands. At last, I could enter the sacred lands. Besides a ton of random monsters, I couldn't find a purpose for this location. That is until I found this.
Final boss here, you win. Don't know if I want to challenge that with a near broken helmet.
From what I can tell, the game wasn't updated to spawn a final boss, so I had technically conquered the Twilight Forest. But not yet. I still had some achievements to go. One of them was cooking a piece of deer. Another was making a map. Another was making a feather. Another was making a map with the feather. Contrary to these very simple ones, there were some very non-simple ones, including the killing of several goblins. The first one, not too hard. I only needed to mine my way into a small island and slap a goblin. The second one, oh my lord, please have mercy on my soul. I had to first find a medium island, which was somehow barely possible. Then I had to mingle around through the enormous horde of mobs until one of the little beasts spawned. Stuff like this also happened.
Oh, I don't know what I just did.
I'm not kidding when I say I had to return to the overworld to restock my potatoes before I starved to death. After over half an hour of trying to keep myself intact, I finally found and slaughtered the monster.
Yes! Oh my god, please. Get me out of here.
The third one, not too bad. I just had to find a large island and slap a mob that I never actually saw. Oh, and I also somehow managed to get that ghast achievement in between all of this. I don't know how, but after another half hour of troubleshooting, I got this stupid maze map to work.
Oh my god, it finally freaking worked, dude. I've literally been running around for almost an hour and it has finally started working.
This helped me locate the secret room that contained a maze breaker. I spent several minutes breaking into the room with a giant pickaxe, and
yes!
I got it.
Oh my god. Oh my freaking lord, dude. That took so long to get.
To finalize the Twilight Forest achievements, I crafted some fiery gear and dyed some snow gear.
I'm gonna dye them pea color. Let's go, and that should be the entire section done. Now we just have to deal with this mess.
While I was crafting another power storage system, I got an achievement. The only problem with this was that there was no achievement for it. Nevertheless, I crafted an elite energy cube, which is capable of holding up to 12 million RF. I needed all of this energy to power the quantum compressor that I crafted shortly after. This device creates singularities, which are needed for the final achievement of creating the ultimate singularity. I wasn't totally focused on getting that just yet. I was only going for cookie singularities.
How am I supposed to get 10 freaking thousand cookies?
To create singularities, 10,000 of any item are needed. This means that, to create one cookie singularity, I needed 10,000 cookies. Another problem laid in the fact that I needed to fill the entire cookie jar with singularities.
I have to fill a cookie jar with... Oh my god, bro. Impossible. This is not freaking possible. Out of freaking energy, man. Oh my lord. Come on. It's literally... It's done. It's done. It's not even past. It's not even at the last sliver. It is done. 3. Oh, let's go.
Moving to another topic, this happened while I was casually working on the Cobblegen room. It was very obvious that my current plan wasn't going to hold up, so I moved all of the Cobblegens to the main island and connected them with item ducts. Even though I started using a black hole unit instead of a filing cabinet, working on the setup caused much more lag.
Hello, game, please function.
While placing down the item ducts, I noticed that they had a cap of how many items could be traveling them at a given time. I tried to substitute them for item cables.
Well, I think I finally found my solution.
It was not a new solution, and it ended up having the problem of being too congested. I did, however, end up finding an even better solution, the item transfer node. By connecting an item transfer node and several item cables to several Cobblegens, along with using GPS markers to transfer the cobble wirelessly, I formed an incredibly efficient system. What was cool was that GPS markers stack, meaning I could transfer items to the black hole unit very fast. Another great thing was that the setup was repeatable, meaning the only determinant of speed was the number of cobblegens. With the discovery of this method, I set up around 10 more pods.
Oh my lord, holy crap, that's going so much faster.
I also maxed out the spawner in the middle of all this. I found that some of the item cables in the new model were still getting congested, so I created a much more efficient pattern that caters to each individual cobblegen. With this method, I was able to maximize the efficiency, and it looked quite nice. With the new cobblegen system, I moved on to more standard upgrades such as the growth crystals. I crafted a bunch of them, placed them down, and before I made another batch, I made these.
Dude, freaking, I'm wearing a block on my face as a freaking night vision goggle thing. What the heck? Bruh, goggles?
I did make the final batch, covering the whole farm. I also started on what would be the next layer of growth crystals using the tier 2 versions. For now, I only had one block. With the new boost, I was looking to get a working Netherstar seed, so I killed a bunch of withers and used the withering souls they dropped to craft a single Netherstar crux. I placed it under some soil and the seed finally started to grow. That was a win. This was not.
Oh my lord.
No!
Oh my god.
After recrafting another wither skeleton data model, I returned to the nether and farmed more wither skulls with the pristine matter they dropped. This allowed me to get nether stars, which I used to craft a few tier 2 and 1 tier 3 growth crystals. I also made this. One discovery that I was not happy about was the fact that cookie singularities stack.
They stack. They stack. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, this is gonna take so long.
This meant I would need to get 512 cookie singularities instead of just 8. However, I soon after made the discovery that you can substitute water bottles for potions of swiftness to craft growth crystals, which I was very happy about. This allowed me to craft a few more tier 2 growth crystals. After doing some experimenting, I found that plant interactors will collect the seeds of the crop that they are harvesting. This was especially useful for spam farming, since it would gather the seeds for me. I also boosted some of the crops with a stack of growth accelerators, which didn't actually seem to boost anything at all. Since some of the achievements required mass farming a crop, I used the spare compact machine to set up a small farm. I started with some dirt and a few tier 3 growth crystals. This one would be dedicated to nature seeds, which I needed for an octuple compressed sugarcane and for cookie singularities. I doused the ground with green fertilizer to increase crop output and lined the underside with growth crystals. Now I just needed to spam farm until the whole room was filled with nature seeds. I had just one problem though. I trapped myself by throwing the personal shrieking device, which I needed to escape, into the Emmy ender chest.
How the frick am I gonna get out of this, dude? I just trapped myself in here. No. No, 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 no. How do I get out?
Luckily, I was able to get back to the overworld, and after a hiccup, got my stuff back.
Oh, thank God.
After I finished planting all of the seeds, I was able to craft 6 quadruple compressed sugarcane, which is equal to about 0.09% of the total needed for the octuple compressed version. To automate this process, I set up an auto crafter and a few packagers to make it much easier to compact the sugarcane. It worked by crafting the sugarcane from nature essence, then it compacted it up to the triple compressed stage. Afterward, I began the quest for a donut singularity, in which I used donut saplings, bonsai pots, a smeltery, a melter, an ingot former, and a heap of speed upgrades. I melted the acorns and resin into liquid donut, which I could later use in the ingot former. After approximately 10 minutes of this, I gained enough donuts for the final product. The singularity itself didn't do a whole lot, but it did give me an achievement.
Fine, that's like the first achievement I've got in probably a couple hours.
My next achievement involved getting all of the pristine matter in the game. I started this by crafting all of the available data models. I then went on a hunt to slaughter a mob in each category. I also destroyed an entire dome of yetis to acquire the self-aware tier. Then I killed some other things. Then I found some wood that was important for crafting another data model. Then I killed some slimes. Then I killed some other slimes. Moving away from hunting, I started getting to work on the bacon singularity. I used a bunch of the same methods as I did when making the donut Singularity, so really wasn't that interesting. Then I killed a shulker, then I killed a guardian, then I killed a witch, then I found a legendary android in the nether, killed it, and harvested its arm. I also found out that you can make android guns with the android Pristine Matter. They were also considerably powerful. Additionally, I could use them for long-range kills in order to get Pristine Matter. Then I killed a goblin, and finally, I got the achievement. Yeah! I still continued to use the guns, just because they were cool. When I returned home, I had generated enough bacon to form the bacon Singularity. Shifting to power, I began the construction of a black hole generator, or BHG for short, which is rumored to have incredible abilities. I chucked some cobblestone into it, which didn't do much. While I was doing this, I was slowly getting more and more fluid storage components, and I actually had enough to craft the 4 million byte fluid storage. Yo, oh my god, I didn't think I was gonna get it. I didn't know that was the last one. I was still very confused about how to build a BHG, so I used the datapad. This device gave me the instructions for how to build a generator, and the first thing it said I needed was a lot of tritanium. To get it, I, of course, crafted and spam farmed a ton of tritanium seeds. After creating some other materials, I crafted some fusion reactor coils, some machine holes, some gravitational stabilizers, and a fusion reactor controller. I also happened to get another phantom achievement while gathering items for the construction. I put everything together and I started with a speed of 3,340 RF per second. For some reason, I came back to the main island and just started shooting things with the Omni Tool. This resulted in me destroying the storage crate that I made earlier.
I really hope there wasn't anything important in there.
I then found a use for the portal gun, as it would create a fast transportation between the BHG and the overworld cake. I heard that a matter decomposer was needed for the generator to work, so I crafted and placed one on the top of the controller. I also input some cobblestone to give it matter. This is when I learned that the matter number that had been under each item since I started playing this game was part of this mod. Later, this is what the setup looked like, and it was very apparent that I was lost. After throwing a stack of tritanium blocks into the black hole, I boosted the power output to 37,800 RF per second. And while I was talking about my achievement, I got stuck on the cobble next to the reactor. Although I'm actually like stuck now. Oh, I can't get out. How the frick do I, seriously, am I literally stuck? Like, am I gonna die here? Oh, I tried to use the portal gun to get out, and it eventually worked. To make sure this didn't happen again, I added another gravitational stabilizer. While waiting for more tritanium to grow, I crafted the contract market, which, in reality, was beyond obsolete.
None of these are good rewards. Like, I ain't doing this, man.
Since the BHG was producing tons of power, I made a completely new system to transport it. First, I crafted a flux controller, storage, point, and plug, which were the essential items needed for a flux system. I attached the flux point, which collects power, to the BHG, and watched as the storage quickly filled up. I also upgraded the energy cube to hold over 50 million RF. While trying to upgrade the flux storage, this happened. Oh my, I'm so dumb. I eventually did it right, upgrading to a Herculean storage, which held 12.8 million RF. I decided to craft the max level storage, so I upgraded to the Gargantuan flux storage, which held 128 million RF. That is literally like this entire battery, and that fast. Holy crap. I wanted to get an early start on the achievement that required a 24 by 24 by 24 fission reactor, so I began by crafting and spam farming lead and graphite seeds. These metals were needed to craft basic plating, which were essential for crafting the reactor casing. I built an extension that I would build the reactor on, and started by constructing the corners of the structure. While I was doing this, I happened to kill another legendary android, harvesting its head. The chain of alloy furnaces that produce tough alloy were proving to be especially helpful, as that mineral was the basis of the fission reactor. After crafting a ton of casing blocks, I began construction on the sides. I also increased the number of pods in the cobblegen area, since it would be a while before I finished the reactor. The process was very straightforward. Place the generators, place the transport node, place the item cables, and insert the GPS markers. With the new generators, the speed of production was dramatically increased. Once I was finished admiring the speed, I crafted another fresh batch of casing blocks to lay down, and at last I had finished a single wall. Only 5 more to go. While I was waiting for the materials to come in, I experimented with various devices that appear to assist in the cobblegen construction. The first gadget, the pattern replicator, looked to copy entire areas across a few blocks. This is what I want. This is what I want. This was not what I want. After many minutes of trial and error, I never got the thing to actually work. At this time, I noticed that the potion brewer seemed to be running low on water, so I crafted and placed a dense infinite water source to give it some more. I then completed another wall and about half the ceiling of the reactor. I tried to utilize the matter replicator to get more smaller reactor casing, but I honestly didn't have much clue as to what I was doing. For the time being, I placed an emerald bucket in the matter decomposer and focused on the reactor. I organized a system that would automatically form and break down graphite into graphite dust, which was needed to craft reactor casing. I went back to the reactor with the casing I received from this new method and finished all but one wall and the floor. I then created some more devices related to the matter replicator, such as the pattern monitor, the pattern drive, and the matter scanner. I had no idea what any of these devices did, but after a few attempts of trying to scan stuff, I finally managed to scan a single block of cobblestone. I scanned a few more cobbles and tried inputting it into the pattern replicator. I also made a matter network switch, and after fiddling with the placement of the blocks, I got the darn thing to finally work. I also placed down a few matter transport pipes, which was a mistake, as it takes a whole minute to mine a single pipe.
Fan-freaking-tastic. How do I break these?
I also threw some dilithium crystals into the matter analyzer, which should have done something, but it didn't. On a good note, this was around the time that I was finishing up the case of the fission reactor.
Check inside. Yeah, I think that's enough. Alright.
I, after several hours of progress, had achieved the maximum size fission reactor. I crafted a controller and port, placed them in the reactor.
Casing in no. Oh, what the frick?
Fixed a few errors, and
it's 24 by 24. There we go. Yo, let's go. This is crazy.
To access the generator, I installed a door. Then I hunted a bunch of blizzes to get some super good coolers. Cryotheum. These are the best coolers in the game, providing negative 160 heat. I made a couple of them, but they were obviously not enough for the net gain of heat. So I killed a few more blizzes and made a few more coolers, creating a net reduction of heat. I threw a TBU fuel in the reactor and observed the surge of energy.
Woo! That is so much. That's a lot of energy.
After doing this a few more times, along with filling up the reactor with more reactor cells, I lowered the temperature immensely. Additionally, I used an active diamond cooler to provide much stronger cooling power.
There we go. Look at that decrease. Let's flick that baby on. Look at that. No freaking heat, dude.
I also crafted the electrolyzer, which could separate liquids into its basic elements. In this case, I separated 4 buckets of oxygen from the water and infused them into an LEU 235 fuel. The type of fuel didn't matter that much, but the oxide aspect boosted the power of the fuel immensely. And I finally reached the 25,000 RF per tick, enough to get me the achievement.
Hey, we got the freaking achievement, I'll take it.
Although this is a very abrupt ending, it does set up for the next episode. If it's already out, click up here to go see it. If it's not, sit tight while I work on it. More about why this video took so long to make later, but for now, I just want to thank everyone for making it this far in the video. This video took me almost a year to make, and it's awesome that you stuck around for this long. Of course, please consider subscribing as it is completely free, and it would mean this video wasn't a big waste. It would really mean a lot to me, and you can always unsubscribe later. If you liked the video, smash that like button, and if you didn't, tell me why in the comments below. That's gonna wrap up the main chunk of the outro, but feel free to stay for this little update. Again, thank you all for watching. Bye. With that being said, hello again, and welcome to my update. Now, what this video was originally going to be was a compilation of about 96 hours of footage that I had collected while playing SkyFactory 4, and, cut down, that would equal around 2 hours. But since I wanted to upload this video a little bit early, I decided to split the footage in half. Now, let's talk about why this video took so long to edit. Again, I spent close to 100 hours literally just playing the game, but I also had to go to a boarding school in my own house while editing this video. And if you know anything about boarding schools, that can come with some extra difficulties. As I mentioned before, I started making this video in August, but I've also been working on schoolwork since August. Today is the 3rd of January 2021, and it's the middle of Christmas break for me, so I wanted to utilize my Christmas break to make this video. And I'm planning on finishing the second half of this video sometime in the summer. And now let's address the elephant in the room. COVID. As I mentioned before, it's currently January, but a vaccine is somewhat available right now. This means that I could return to boarding school as a boarding school student instead of a boarding school student at home. And the reason that has a negative impact on these videos is that it's a lot easier to edit videos when you're at your house instead of at school. Along with that, you have a bunch of productivity issues, time management, all the other stuff. So I might have less time to edit, but hopefully I won't, and hopefully I'll get this video done sometime before spring break. But if that doesn't happen, I'm sorry. I really don't have much control over it. I'm working on these videos as much as I can, and there's only so many hours in a day to work on them. That being said, if I do return to my boarding school, I'll probably pick up some vlogging, since gaming videos are going to be virtually impossible to make at this school, as I've mentioned before. Really, all I'm trying to say is that the second half of the video is going to come out sometime. I don't know when. I could be 25 by the time it comes out, but if you're subscribed, you'll know when it's released. So, you know, like, subscribe, comment, all the stupid things that YouTubers beg you to do. And thank you, the viewer, for watching. Man, I really did not set myself up for this outro. Thank you guys for watching. Bye! Echo White.
Okay.
It's gonna be the Solosice passing out experience. Watch this. Oh.